joined by the Fireman Sam Slayer. This is Les Britzman. He's the County Fire Chief in Lincolnshire. Good morning to you.
Are you allowed to call him Les?
Yes, you can call me Les. Yes, good morning, Piers.
Good morning, Mr Britzman. Can you explain why you have murdered Fireman Sam?
Well, first of all, we haven't banned or murdered Fireman Sam. It's we have a message that we try to get across to our community, our partners, elderly people and young people as well. And what we feel is Fireman Sam, it's a bit outdated, really, and it doesn't really reflect what we're trying to achieve in today's modern fire and rescue service.
Why is Fireman Sam, which is a cartoon character who has a lot of people that operate... I mean, you're a man, right? Are you identifying as a man today?
Yes, yes.
So the head of the Lincolnshire Fire Service is a man?
Who looks like Fireman Sam,
right?
to be fair.
And you actually even look like Fireman Sam, and yet you object to a promotional material which has a lead firefighter as a man. I'm confused. Why are you allowed to be the head of the Lincolnshire Fire Service as a man, but you have a problem with the promotional material featuring a male fireman? I don't get it.
Right, well, first things first. When we develop and design our promotional material, we need a bit of artistic licence. Fireman Sam is not our brand. We can't freely put Fireman Sam on our material and use that freely. So that's one very commercial reason. We want to put Good Morning Britain logos on our things. We'd have to check with you first. So it basically means we would have to go to the producers of it to ask for permission to use it in a certain way. So it's very, very restrictive indeed. So that's a very simple commercial reason. But also, it doesn't give the message we want. We want to get across messages about, you know, having a working smoke detector, having fire extinguishers in the house, having an escape route, you know, working with your family to have a plan. We lost a whole family in a village on the border of Lincolnshire and Nottinghamshire because they didn't have working smoke alarms. And they didn't close their doors.
But none of this has anything to do with Fireman Sam. I come back to my central point. You are the head of the Lincolnshire Fire Service and you're a man, right? Why are you not a woman if you feel so furious that the front person for the fire service shouldn't be male? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, in a lot of fire and rescue services in this country, there are women as chief fire officers, so we're trying to reflect
But you're the head. Society. You're the head of your... You accept that you are the head of your county fire service, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you are now representing your fire service, and yet you have a problem with having any promotional material that has a male firefighter.
Yes, I'm a white man, but across the fire and rescue service, on average, I think there's about 5% white males in the fire and rescue service.
And just to stop you there are how many female...
Can you just clarify that figure? Did you say there's 5% white men in the fire service?
No. So across the country, 95% of the fire and rescue service is probably white male.
Yes, okay.
Right, so 95%...
That figure got switched there. Just...
Right.
So me being a white male actually does not reflect our society because roughly half of our population are female.
Yes.
So
and do you think that...
So will you be resigning then, given that you feel so strongly about this?
But I will try and promote and improve the number of women firefighters in our community.
But in Fireman Sam, Mr Britzman, in Fireman Sam, there is Penelope, who, last I checked, was identifying as a woman.
The programme itself, you know, I've got a great nephew, he watches it. Yes, it's modern, it has Firefighter Penny, it has helicopters, which we used recently at our flooding in Lincolnshire, it has a boat team, again, very modern. The programme itself is modern, but why can't the producers or the owners of that update the brand? Why don't they call it Firefighter Sam? And also...
how would you update it? How would you update it? What would you call it?
Just said Firefighter Sam.
Firefighter Sam.
OK, but still a white bloke.
Yes, but he's called Firefighter Sam, and the programme overall probably does reflect the diversity, but unfortunately the character Fireman Sam doesn't. We don't call our firefighters firemen anymore. Right,
so your problem is the use of the word man.
Fireman Sam and the character, it's just outdated, that's all.
What's wrong with Sam as the character?
The character itself is outdated.
Why can't you just have it the way it was always had and nobody had a problem with it until the woke brigade got stuck in and decided man was an evil word?
Or there's an alternative way of looking at it, Les Britzman, and that is, are you trying actually to do something positive here, which is to increase the diversity of your workforce? And do you think that having these characters in some way puts people off? Or by changing them, you can encourage other people to join up to the fire service?
Yes, I mean, Lincolnshire is a very modern and progressive brigade. We have, I don't know if you understand the term, we have two-thirds of our firefighters what we call on-call. So they come from their local community. We struggle massively to recruit on-call firefighters. And a massive proportion of the population, 50% population, are women. And they're not wanting to join. They're simply not applying. So in terms of recruiting and keeping public safe by staffing our fire engines, we're struggling because women aren't wanting to join the fire service. The image that women get about joining the fire service starts very, very young, probably when they're 3, 4, 5. So if we're sending the wrong message at that age, we're making a problem for ourselves down the line in terms of recruiting.
How many women in the world have refused to join the fire service in this country because of Fireman Sam? Can you name any?
They don't refuse, they just don't apply in the first place.
The whole premise of your argument is nonsense.
Well, what do you want to do? Do a survey of all individual women to ask them whether Fireman Sam has put them off joining the fire service?
I would like the white male boss of Lincolnshire Fire Service to accept there's nothing wrong with having a white male figurehead for the Lincolnshire Fire Service, because he is a white male.
Have a stereotype about a firefighter.
No woman has refused to join the fire service in Britain because of Fireman Sam. Have they? We know that's just nonsense.
Actually, we've just heard him say that there is an assumption that firefighters are men, and if they want to encourage more women...
It's a fact that more men want to be firefighters than women, right, Mr. Britzman? It's a fact.
That is a fact, but it's a sad fact that 95% of our workforce are men, whereas half our population are women.
Is it a sad fact? Or is it just a reality that more men want to be firefighters than women? Why can't we just accept there are certain jobs where actually more men want to do it than women?
Or
and
why
one of the
can't we
reasons
encourage more women to do it?
Well, maybe women don't want to be firefighters, Mr. Britzman.
Maybe they do, and they're put off by the stereotype.
Maybe more men just want to be firefighters. Has that crossed your mind? Has that crossed your virtue signalling campaign?
The reason more women don't want to be firefighters is because of images like Fireman Sam.
No woman has ever watched Fireman Sam and went, that's going to stop me joining the firefighting service. Nobody ever has done that.
How do you
know that?
How do you know?
Because you can't name a single one.
Started very young.
You throw out this trite nonsense that women have watched Fireman Sam and it's put them off. Why would it put them off? But firefighter Penelope is heroic in Fireman Sam. Why would that put women off?
Les Britzman, you do a great job. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Les Britzman does a great job.
Yes, he does.
But as a white man...
saving lives,
as a white man,
the
only logical thing you should do is to fire yourself.
Don't be ridiculous.
And leave Fireman Sam alone.
Les Britzman, thank you very much indeed.
If I haven't recruited more female firefighters in a few years' time, then maybe I will fire myself.
OK, let me hold you to that. Right?
OK.
But
if you're still here.
So how many years do we have to go by where if your numbers don't significantly change, you admit your campaign is nonsense?
Well, in Lincolnshire, we've got roughly 10% female firefighters. We should double the national average. We probably want to get that much, much nearer to representing our population. That's what we're aiming to do.
So you'd like to have 50-50?
That would be our aspiration.
And you'd like to have 50-50, why? Why is it so important to make the entire fire service directly split 50-50 between male and female?
In Lincolnshire, if we cannot recruit more female firefighters, we are meaning that our fire engines are not properly staffed. Simple as that. And we will see people die. What?
Because they're not men?
Because we haven't got enough firefighters. There aren't enough men applying in these villages.
No, but that wasn't my question. My question was, why do they have to be women?
Well, because he wants to expand the workforce.
Why do you have to get to a 50-50 split male-female? Why can't you just accept, as seems to be statistically blatantly obvious, that more men want to be firefighters than women? It's just a fact.
I have a feeling you might have to put out a fire here soon because Piers Morgan is going to sell...
OK, you know what, Mr Britzman, I appreciate you calling in. I'm sure there will be viewers that agree with you and they think this is all perhaps nonsense, whatever. I just don't get why you need to target Fireman Sam. I love Fireman Sam.
Okay.
My daughter loves Fireman Sam. My daughter's 7. She never watches Fireman Sam and says, that's the reason I'm not joining the fire service. Yeah. She wants to be Penelope.
Could I please say one last thing? And this is about, forget our views on things, it's about keeping the public safe.
Yep.
And we just encourage people to make sure the smoke alarms are working, make sure their family know what to do in the event of fire, and just be careful in their homes. And, if regardless of our views on Fireman Sam, that's what people should be doing.
Quite right.
Les Britzman, I couldn't agree with you more on your last statement, so we reach a point of consensus. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
OK, no problem. Bye.
Oh. Poor Les.
He's just keeping people safe in their homes.
Change the world and save lives.
We just want to save the world. I love firefighters, firemen, firewomen. I don't understand what's wrong with being a firewoman. Why is that offensive?
Just say firefighter and then you don't have to worry.
Why do we need to be offended by this nonsense?
You are offended by everything.
No, I'm a man.
Literally
That's not offensive. You're a woman. You haven't changed your name to war person, have you?
Oh,
why are you still a woman?